Going to call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this edition of the Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is September 21st, Wednesday, and I would like to remind everybody that this is a public meeting, and when we are being recorded via audio and visual. And when you come to the podium to address the board, please say your name and address for the record, please. And with that, any awards, recognitions, or correspondence?
No, just a note, we're starting to get letters in from the Umatilla County Fair from the exhibitors, and I'm sure those are coming in mass, but also remind you that that this weekend is the Pendleton Junior Livestock Show.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It's always the weekend right after ARPA.
Around it, yep.
Commissioner Dorn?
I have none, thanks.
None from me. Approval of minutes of previous meeting? No? Okay. Any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I would request the floor, Chair Schaefer. The Charter Review Committee 5 years ago started, and at the end, the commission listened to and deliberated putting on the ballot the recommendations of the Charter Review Committee. One item that didn't get put on the agenda was a discussion on the county administrator. At the time, the commissioners made a commitment to the group to come back and have that discussion with them. And 4 years later, a little bit tardy, but we did have that discussion with that group. And at that time, we made a commitment to them that we would have an internal discussion and actually some outside input in, and then we would come back with public discussion on that. We've fulfilled that. Even later this summer, we had internal discussions and had a great discussion with a county administrator from a separate county in Oregon. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to have put on today's agenda, item number 8, an action item to proceed to a decision of public discussion addressing the next steps, if any, in respect to a county administrator at the October 5th Board of Commissioners meeting.
I respectfully could have declined that. We're not gonna.
It's a motion, it's a motion.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna.
It has to die. You got to hear the motion. You can die without a second, but you have to hear the motion.
Restate the motion.
The motion to have put on today's agenda, item number 8, a action item to proceed to a decision and public discussion addressing the next steps, if any, in respect to a county administrator at the October 5th Board of Commissioners meeting.
I still believe we have a moral and ethical obligation to a committee that we appointed, and I will second that. That is only to revisit the subject,
Yep.
not to
Yep, strictly
move
to
forward.
to
I've
make it.
changed my opinion on that.
Yeah, it's just to put it on the agenda.
I'm reading this. I don't think the chair doesn't have to put that on the agenda. Am I reading that correctly, council?
I think you do have to hear the motion, though. Motion and second act on that.
Well, we don't have to call for a vote, though.
That's up to the chair.
Okay. We will not be calling for a vote on that. Okay. Public input and recognition of visitors. If you want to discuss something that is not on the agenda, now is your time to do so. Klaus.
I couldn't hear what you just said, sorry.
Oh, now is your time to address the board for something that's not on the agenda. If you want to discuss something not on the agenda.
Sure. My name is Klaus Hona.
It's on the agenda now.
Oh, it is on the agenda?
Yes, I didn't think they could hear back there what you all were discussing because your voices are light.
Is on the comprehensive plan?
I've been accused of that before. No, we did not put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't hear the vote.
I've been, my name is Klaus Hona. I live at 78061 Lupin Lane, Weston, Oregon. I'm a citizen, retired military, 31 years. I'm also a PCP up there, and recently we had a meeting of about 40 people. And some of the folks that I talked to were talking about the county manager position. And so I tried to do a little research because I didn't know a whole lot about it. And that's what I just wanted to address today. So I did look at the charter minutes from your last meeting back in 19, what the recommendations were, this sort of thing. But it just causes me to question a number of things, and I was interested in, and I hope that in the future, if there is internal discussions, what can be released to the public on that, what recommendations were made by the county manager expert, whoever this was, that I read in the paper, because East Oregonian had covered some of this in the past. So anyway, I'm really interested in that. I think the system that we currently have, I haven't heard any issues where there's a span of control problem or other things. So I'm a strong believer if something works well and we have elected officials that are responsible to us and we can have this dialogue one-on-one whenever we need, I think that's the way to go. Whenever you do have a manager, I guess my point there is they're not accountable to the citizenry. The commissioners are, the elected officials are, but that manager, at least from what I saw, would be appointed by the commissioners. If there is a true need for it, if we've gone so gargantuan and huge and the span of control is out of control in doing performance reviews and things of that nature, then I could see maybe a need for something like that in the future. But from what I could see, the way the day-to-day operations, I can't see the need for that right now. The cost is a concern of mine. From some of the articles that I read, it was put on there $160,000 plus benefits. Typically, at least was referenced with Clatsop County, that they had a county manager, and that was thrown out as a dollar figure. I don't know what it would be today. But that to me is important. I would like to see what the outside expert had recommended and what the internal review was on this. That would be of interest to me, and people up in my area are interested in this, and it came up. The public wants to know what's going on, and they seem to think everything's running smoothly. So if there's something to share, I'd say make it public. The day-to-day operations that the county has, I've read the agendas and things. To me, it doesn't seem overwhelming. The point keeps coming up in a lot of these documents that I reviewed. It was always policy issues, advocacy, and strategic planning. Those are the things that the commission should be involved in. My last point, and I guess a question, does the county now have a strategic plan? Do you have some formalized plan? You do have, okay. And I did not review that, so I'm not prepared to look at that. But anyway, those are my key points that at present time, I don't see the need to pursue that at this point in time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Susan. Sorry, you didn't see her stand up, Dave, so I was calling on her name.
No, that's fine, that's fine, go right ahead.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Susan Bauer, and I am from Pendleton, Oregon, with an address of 70349 Lakeside Road. And good morning, all. I am
Could we
here
check to see
today.
if the people in the back can hear?
Yes. Can everyone hear me in the back? Okay, I'll speak a little louder. I am here today to share my thoughts around this topic of Umatilla County hiring a county manager as well. I had a very interesting perspective on that topic because of my personal experience working in a position very similar to a county manager, and also working in positions of much higher responsibility, such as a county commissioner. I am also a management consultant working through discussions like this with businesses, nonprofits, as well as governments. And although not involved in the conversation about the Charter Review Committee at all, I have been a consultant contracted for Umatilla County since 2013. And in that time, I have worked closely with 3 administrations, and I've seen an incredibly positive culture transformation in this organization. During that time, the county commissioners have, in my opinion, effectively fulfilled their dual responsibility of leading a large organization and also representing constituents. A county commissioner who owns my vote has the leadership experience and the business acumen to provide the administrative duties necessary to run the county as well as represent the constituents. And to that I would add that employees are constituents and voters as well. Just as I believe in less government and less government control, I believe in less management. Research has shown the benefits of a flat organization. With that said, let me be clear, I emphasize that department heads do need leadership, and when they have that, their programs are better. I'll also emphasize that department heads need leadership, and when they have that, they are better managers for their employees. With that said, functions such as planning, budgeting, performance evaluation are absolutely essential to a healthy organization and to help department heads maximize their potential. I do not, however, believe that another position needs to be created in order to have that happen. Commissioners can and have effectively fulfilled these functions because we have voted for candidates who bring the experience and education to do the job. In conclusion, I would leave with a thought. For those who are looking at the topic of whether to not have a county administrator, why, what are the pros and the cons? The thought I'll leave you with is maybe the question is not whether or not we need to create a new county manager position, but maybe the question is, should there be required credentials to be a county commissioner, just as there are for other elected officials, for example, the district attorney and the sheriff. Thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts this morning.
Thank you.
Dave.
My name is Dave Price. I live at 80488 Zerba Road, Athena. I have been attending, like many of everybody else around here, quite a few meetings scattered around in the county in the past few months where this subject of the county manager or county administrator has come up. And it's been going on now for several months. It seems to be that on the meetings that I've attended, that this concept has been met with skepticism everywhere. People are reluctant to do this because, and part of it is that the well of government employees has got some problems. And people are concerned about the level of government in not only the county, but the nation at this point in time, and are very reluctant to see the government do anything that, particularly like this, that would enlarge the government structure. And so people seem to be really resistant and reluctant to accept this as a good idea. And one of the things about it is that, of course, if you did this, it would add another layer in the county government. And that's not good, I don't think. I think that the elected official does not need another layer in the organization between them and the people they serve. I don't think that's a good way to go. The other thing is more of a practical thing, and that is just the cost of the matter. And I heard the gentleman before mention a figure on the cost. I know that it would be substantial, because you not only have the salary cost, you got the associated administrative cost and things like that. It's expensive. And the question is, of course, the county probably has the money to do that, but the question then becomes, where would the money come from? And if you do that, there's something else you're not going to do. And so I think that needs to be shaken out so that people can see, okay, we're making a choice here. We're either going to have the administrator, or we're going to do whatever the other need of the county is. So I think that people are very reluctant to think this is a good idea. And I think people feel that they elected the commissioners, you people, to do a job. And they want to see you do it, not somebody else. So in other words, where I'm at right now is I think that the county is very reluctant, and myself in particular, we're very reluctant to do something like this. And we think that it is a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. In the interest of fairness, Cindy, was that you raising your hand? Oh, sorry.
I did.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually gonna call for somebody who's in favor of the county manager. I wanna be fair to those in the room who are in favor of a county manager, and then I'll come back to you if I don't see anything. Anything online? Let's see, Andrew's online. Okay, yeah, come on.
My name is Polly Johnson. I live at 69880 Highway 395 South, Pendleton, Oregon. I agree and echo the others that came forward on this particular topic, but I just want to approach it from a business owner standpoint. I owned a business for nearly 30 years in Umatilla County, and am a business owner in Douglas County now. And I've served on several boards here in Umatilla County, and it was always interesting to me as a business owner, the difference of opinion between a business owner and a board member who was not a business owner. When you make our county commissioners are in charge of the budget for the county. It's one of their jobs that they are to take care of. And so obviously we members of Umatilla County vote in people who we want to be wise stewards of that budget. As a business owner, when you're looking at adding a line item to your budget, you're looking at what that's going to do to your bottom line. As a board member or an elected official, it typically doesn't affect your bottom line. And so sometimes you have to look at both sides of the aisle to make sure that it's going to line up, just as a business owner would. I might mention that not so far back in our Oregon legislature, our legislators actually presented the idea of them reducing their salary or benefits in order to cover an added position. Now that did not go through, it was voted on and did not pass, but if you were looking at adding this position and funding it by reducing your salary or your benefits, would that be a consideration? Because that's what a business owner does. That's what a business entrepreneur does. They look at, am I gonna hire a manager because that manager, will my profit go up if I hire an effective manager? Or will my profit stay the same and my bottom line reduce? So I go to the grocery store with less money in my pocket. So my encouragement today is when you consider a position like this, of which I am not for, but when you do consider it from both sides of the aisle. Consider looking at it like, you were the entrepreneur who may go home with less grocery money in your pocket because you thought this position was important enough to add a line item to the budget. So that's what I have to add. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Marlene McClintock, 85175 Highway 339 from Milton Freewater. And I represent the Republican Women of Milton Freewater, and I represent the precincts of 121 and 120. Just a short time ago, there was an effort to change the home rule charter method of managing Umatilla County by adding this county administrator position. This initiative was taken to the voters and they voted no to the change of our charter. During the last few weeks, I've asked voters of their opinions on this change of ideology, and answers that they have remained the same. Voters believe that they lose the ability to have a one-on-one contact with the commissioners, and the county's needs to the voters' input and the loss to the county administrator. Part-time commissioners would even be worse. There would be less interaction with the people throughout the county, so less problem solving. Part-time commissioners would have less time to meet and oversee the county's economics. For every action, there is a reaction. For a manager, there is setting him up in an office, in a conference room, and I bet he has a software program that he loves that he's gonna have to work. There's a hiring of his secretary and administrative people, or possibly even hiring assistants. The total cost, as we've all mentioned, is a problem. And we have a problem with the funding of this new level of county employment. Remember, this is a whole new level of cost that is being created. The biggest concern was, what if the county manager's performance isn't at a level the voters deem satisfactory and it needs to be terminated? The major concern was, would Umatilla County residents have to live with the situation, or would the commissioners ignore the situation altogether? These are not my words, but these are words from Oregonians that are living with this type of ideology right now in other areas. You will be creating a new level that is a major expense to county landowners, and that's people like me that will have to support this through property taxes. We've been watching the economic news closely all year, and it's not exactly good. Farming has got a crop in this year, but it's a toss-up for next year with the incoming restrictions of fertilizer and water. Tech industries are already downsizing. Auto manufacturers have already can't get the chips to complete their manufacturing of autos, and so the IT departments have been downsized, or are being downsized. But along with the auto production, here in Milton Freewater, we have the RV manufacturing that is downsizing to part-time, and they're now working at 3 days a week. Consequently, the earnings are not enough to maintain a household any longer. And in addition to that, there are 300 employees that were terminated this week with the loss of the flour mill. That's 300 more households that are looking for full-time employment now. A wise manager is one that is well-disciplined and oversees his work with discernment and wisdom. This is the second or third time that we have rejected this ideology in the past 20 years. And I wondered, why is the big rush to pass this county administrator issue right now, especially before the general election? So I want you to know that I stand with the Umatilla County residents, and I say, no, we do not want this county manager ideology that you're presenting. Umatilla County residents want to keep our home rule charter as we have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you.
In respect to everybody's time, it sounds like everybody's pretty much on the same page, and again, I'm gonna extend the opportunity for anybody who's in favor of the manager to speak. I want to make sure that I'm fair to both sides. So, I appreciate everybody's input on that, and I would like to could direct your attention to item number 7 on our agenda, which is the charter review. That will be coming up a little bit later, so if you want to stick around for that, I highly encourage it. If not, watch it online, but that's going to be something we're going to be discussing shortly. So with that, I'd like to move on into our business items. Item number 1, comprehensive plan amendment.
Can we go back 1 second?
Yeah.
I think it's important to clarify that there is not a singular question on the floor. There are several questions on the floor. One is whether or not the county wants a county manager. The other question is whether or not we would put the matter to a vote of the people as to whether or not we have a county manager. So I don't think it's quite as cut and dried.
And I left my public hearing thing on my desk.
That's why I said
Go
you
get
didn't know them.
So,
There's a question.
oh, yeah.
So before you move on to the,
Richard, would you come up to the podium so the microphone can catch you?
I want to make sure they're going to allow me to speak. You really don't. Richard Jolly, Weston, Oregon. And before you move on from the public input, I had something not related to this, but not related to this. I was here at a previous meeting and I asked that maybe the Nolan Hills project be brought up to and the contested case be brought up to the AOC, and I was wondering if any of you had done that. Has it been on their agenda, or are they aware of it, or that you know of?
Do you want to answer or do you want me to?
Well, I can add, I'm president of the AOC, so yes, it has been brought to their attention. One thing I think was interesting, we learned the other day, in a discussion in Ontario with AOC and other commissioners, is the fact we are not the only county in the state that has a 2-mile setback. We learned that Baker County has a 2-mile setback, but I can assure you, AOC is well aware of the issue and well aware of the potential precedents that might be set if FSEC overrode our wishes, so they're well aware of that.
And I appreciate that
You might
very
wanna
much,
add-
because I didn't know where that was going
Right.
or where it had been.
Yeah, we have a district, like he was just saying, we have district meetings throughout the state, and we belong to District 1, of which I happen to be the chair of. And we brought that up at our meeting, and Commissioner Norton, I think, just said Jackson County also.
I think Jackson, it's either.
We're looking into the Baker, whether they do or they don't. We heard that there was a possibility that they did, and I knew that you guys hosted them last week when they were here, and I wondered if they had been made aware of it.
Their commissioners told us that they have the same 2-mile setback, much like we do. So we heard that directly from their commissioners.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Appreciate that piece of
And
information.
Commissioner Norton just said he believes Jackson County also. That's news to me. I didn't hear that one, so that's.
So where we are with that today, you know, when, we had been involved with those type of, with the state and dealing with the state before. But when we got involved with it, on this particular issue, we had not attended any meetings till the first meeting that I attended. And at that time, you'd attended a lot of those meetings and not seen any of this coming up. And that to me is like, you're our representative there. And it's hard to be educated in everything with all of it you have to do, all the meetings, all the hearings and everything. We understand that. And now, it seems like we've got the same condition that we have at the federal level is working itself down into the county level sometimes. And so maybe we need to have more community oversight into what's going on in these things. We try to help you, but even when we tried to help you, there was some pushback because I felt that you felt that there was a knee-jerk reaction to it when we saw it just being a red flag. And so, and some people are focused that way, and we want to help you, but at the same time, you've got to hear us a little bit better. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I might add, just for your benefit, in my role as president of the AOC, I attend all of the district meetings, not just the one here, but all of the district meetings in the state of Oregon, and I'm able to represent that view across the state, not just here.
All right. And thanks to our HR staff, I have my documents that I needed, so. very happy with that. Okay, at this time, I'm going to pause our regular meeting and go into public hearing mode while we discuss the comprehensive plan amendment. So I want to call for any abstentions, bias, conflict of interest, declaration of ex parte contact, and objections to jurisdiction. Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and read my prepared statement. Ladies and gentlemen, I call this land use hearing before the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners to order. My name is John Schaefer. I am the chair of the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners. Our role today is to conduct a public hearing concerning a request to expand a previously approved aggregate quarry that's known as the Shooting Quarry to include 25.8 acres of a 151.4 acre site to the Umatilla County Comprehensive Plan list of Goal 5 protected significant sites and apply the aggregate resource overlay zone. I'll begin the hearing by asking staff to summarize the application. I'll then ask the applicant to testify, followed by those in favor of the application. Then any persons in opposition or who have questions or concerns will also have a chance to speak. If there is opposition or questions, staff may respond to them. The commissioners also may ask the staff and witness questions throughout the hearing until the record closes. Any person with any interest in today's agenda may offer relevant oral and/or written testimony, but please only speak when I identify you for that purpose. When you testify, please begin by clearly stating your name and address. If you represent somebody else, please say so. If you have any exhibits you want us to consider, such as a copy of your testimony, photographs, petitions, or other documents of physical evidence, please provide it to me or the staff. It will be marked as part of the record. Okay, at this time I'm going to go ahead and call for the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. I am Tamara Ross with the Planning Department. I'm here to represent present the staff report. A little background information on the subject property. The site was approximately 8.8 acres under a Goal 5 inventory and has been active since roughly 2004, a little bit prior to that as well. There has not been any nuisance or complaints filed with the county on the subject or for the subject property. This site provides crushed rock and aggregate to private businesses and the city of Pendleton, resulting in a local source which meets the Oregon Department of Transportation specifications. The landowner and operator are seeking approval of a larger mining area to ensure the valuable resource is available for years into the future. As mentioned, the applicant requests to expand this previously approved aggregate site to include 25.8 acres of a 151.4 acre site to the Umatilla County Comprehensive Plan list of Goal 5 protected significant sites and to apply the aggregate resource overlay zone. The subject property is just north of the Oregon Trail Highway, approximately 500 east of the intersection of the old Airport Road and Oregon Trail Highway, just outside the city of Pendleton urban growth boundary. The subject property is zoned EFU or exclusive farm use. The criteria of approval are found in the Oregon Administrative Rules 660-023-004 through 0050, 660-023-018, and the Umatilla County Development Code section 152.87 through 488. The process of approval by the county involves review by the Planning Commission with a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. A public hearing was held before the Planning Commission July 28th, 2022. The Planning Commission recommended approval of T019-22, Z-321-22, and P-134-22, with no additional comments or edits to the findings before you. So the board may decide to accept and adopt these findings and recommendations or determine new findings with a decision to approve or deny the post-acknowledgement amendment application. There are also some attachments here for review listed. And that concludes the staff report.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I do. The applicant says he's not gonna put an asphalt plant in there, but does this exclude asphalt plants, or does it just say that he just made the comment he's not gonna put one in?
So from my understanding, unless it was within these findings, the applicant would go through the process again, same
Permitting
public,
process for the asphalt
for
plant,
specific, yes.
but this doesn't exclude it.
This doesn't exclude it.
Okay, good. Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm calling for any proponents of the project, especially the applicant and a representative? No. Any other proponents? Hearing none. Call for any opponents, any opposition? Hearing and seeing none. I don't think there's any public agencies online or in the room. No need for rebuttal. I don't see a need for a request or continue to keep the record open. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and close the hearing and go back into our regular meeting mode. Thank you. Okay. Sure.
I move for the adoption of ordinance number 2004-09.
Second motion.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item number 2 is a UTV purchase. I think I saw, oh, he's right there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Teddy Orr, Umatilla County Weed Department. I'm here this morning to request some funds to purchase a new UTV. My current one's 11 years old. It's been starting to have mechanical failures, and a lot of times I'm in rural and remote areas away from quite a bit, and it's time for an upgrade. So I'm requesting permission to purchase a new one to update my current one.
Don't want to get your steps in that bad.
They're getting close. Transmission's out of it.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item number 3, emergency management trailer repairs. I don't think I see Tom.
I don't see Tom.
Do you want to handle that one?
I know that this is an older trailer that they picked up for emergency, to supplement the emergency operations center. It's an older trailer. I actually have mixed feelings on making this motion because of the condition of the trailer. I'm not sure that it's worth as much as the roof here, but I'll move to approve the cost of the roofing on this trailer.
Second. You might state the cost of repairs.
Well, $5,484.07.
You say the trailer's not worth that?
I think it'd be more.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Would it be reasonable to get an estimate of the value of the trailer before the economic considerations of this they move forward with it?
I would definitely entertain that amendment to the motion.
Okay.
You seconded Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we need to look at the economic validity of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? And motion carries. Number 4, admin services payable. And Mark Tanner is not with us today because he is, what's that? Did I skip one?
No,
Oh.
oh, you're good.
Okay, so the background on this is approval of software payable for materials and services for an electronic door system at the juvenile DD facility. The payables before the board and the approval amount was $23,834.72. In my conversations with Mr. Tanner, this was approved a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit, and I'm trying to find his text message. COVID hit, and then we had the materials, but we pilfered the materials to go to the sheriff's office and the Milton Freewater office for the sheriff's office at Milton Freewater. He said, for a recap, the juvenile fob system was supposed to happen in 2020, and moved to other projects ahead of it. The materials were, and kept using the parts for the juvenile project forward until the system finally crashed. And now we were in an emergency situation, have to take care of this one now.
Okay, now I'm confused because I thought I had this kind of under. So all of the invoices are from August of 21,
Correct.
okay? And we already approved those?
Yes, but those went to other projects, like the sheriff's office project, instead of to the juvenile project. The materials that you're looking at, they were purchased, but they were utilized on higher priority projects, the sheriff's office being one of them. And I don't know if some of them were used here at the courthouse facility or not. I don't know if Doug, you know, but
I don't know that in 2020, most of the systems were replaced at all of the county facilities.
correct.
I assume the objective is to provide the same level of security for all of our employees,
Yes,
rather than just selected ones.
yes.
And this system at this facility was a different system, so now it will be compatible with all the
It'll
other
be on the same system.
facilities.
Correct.
So we're not approving the purchase of the invoices we have that are on the pinky?
That's a Doug question.
No, that is correct. They were ordered and apparently have not been paid for until now. I think what Mr. Tanner said is that the project was approved, but not any of the payment for it. Back in 2020, the county sole source with Unitech to replace the systems at the courthouse, Justice Center, and then later that summer also at Stafford Hansel.
Yeah, the project I'm 100% for. What I'm trying to find out is or ask about is that the dollars, to me, that this being over a year out, I guess my assumption is this bill would have been paid somewhere along the line.
And apparently the
But it hadn't been
contractor
approved.
did not seek to have that done, so now it is being sought to have it paid. So
I'm
it was not
uncomfortable
previously paid.
with that specificity. I mean, I'd like to know what we're voting on, and we don't know that.
I think I kind of got to it, is we're voting on an expense that was allocated, if allocated is the right word, in August of 21, but we weren't billed. The problem I have is John explained that it was used in different locations. Is the juvenile is the juvenile location now gonna be separate over and above this?
We can wait until we have Mark in the room to discuss this if you'd like.
I'm just,
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, are we gonna have to do this all over again with the expenses that, the parts and pieces that went somewhere else?
I don't know, Robert, do you know if we've already paid for those?
I do not. I could do some research and find that out, but.
They've waited a year,
I'd
they've waited a year,
say
2 months
after
now.
your discussion, I was
They waited a year,
confused as
2
you
weeks,
guys
isn't
are.
gonna make a
That's
difference.
kind of where I'm at.
Then we know
So,
what we're voting on.
Yeah, we can table this until the next meeting.
I'm kind of confused on this one, to be honest. I'm just a dumb farm boy, this one's got me.
Yeah, let's table this until we have Mark and or Dan in the room to explain it in
Yeah,
further
the
detail.
director's gone this week, so
Correct.
that's why he's not here.
Okay, so we'll table that one until our next meeting. Item number 5, vehicle purchase. Should we talk about that one? Okay. As you all are well aware, we've ordered vehicles, then we've never gotten them. The 23 vehicles opened up for order, not guaranteed to get them. And so with this, we would be able to get in line for those in case the 22 vehicles or the 21 vehicles that we've ordered get canceled altogether, we don't get them, at least we'll be in line for the 23 vehicles. So there's 15 vehicles for that is what this is. And there is a guarantee that if we order them and they come in, we don't need them, we can turn them back at no cost to the county.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, all in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 6, the ARPA grant.
Want me to talk about it?
Yes, please.
As part of our use of ARPA funds, we've been working primarily with local communities to provide them the opportunity to improve their infrastructure, to even put together things that might help them economically. We've been working with the city of Helix relative to the renovation of their city hall. I'm particularly interested in that Helix very rarely makes requests of the Board of Commissioners, and yet they have very limited resources. And so this is a recommendation that we provide them with $20,000 in ARPA funds to continue on with their process in Helix.
I need to recuse myself from this item.
Okay, was that a motion then?
Yes.
Okay, I will second the motion with the recusal, Commissioner Doran. So we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
No.
Take that one away.
Have it.
Recall.
Okay, so that motion carries. And I think we're, that's the ARPA, yeah, don't sign that. Item number 7, charter review. Yeah, please.
Okay, what's before the board is consideration for a charter review. As required by the charter, every 4 years, the Board of Commissioners appoints a charter review committee of not less than 5 citizens to review the Home Rule Charter and its operations. The last time the board did this was in December of 2017. That process took a while, with the recommendation finally coming through to the board in June of 2019. But under the terms of the charter, it is every 4 years from the date of the last appointment. So at this point, we are beyond the 4-year period, and so it's before the board whether or not to appoint a review. They need to appoint a charter review committee, but how you want to go about that process of appointment. Last time you requested applications for those that are interested in serving, and then review the applications and make an appointment.
You included that representative of all areas of the county. A priority would be given to having representation from different areas of the county.
You can. Last time, I think there was some representation from all areas of the county, just by the nature of the applications.
I think that's essential.
I think so too.
I do too. I thought it would.
And at that point, I mean, you don't have to make a decision at this time how many you want to appoint, but it does have to be at least 5. So does the
How many were
board?
on it last time, do you remember?
I started at 9, I think we ended up with 8.
Okay. Discussion.
I think the other thing that would be, and of course Commissioner Doran knows more about it than I do, but I think it would be fair to those making application to be on the Charter Review Committee that we provide them an overview of the expectations relative to the likely amount of time they would have to devote to the process. And you don't know that for sure, obviously,
But, I mean, we can make the comment in the application that it can be an extended period of time, and last time it was monthly meetings for 14 months, I believe.
But now we could do it, can they do it virtually too now?
Yep, we can always do anything virtually, and we can, you know, it just depends on how the committee itself is formed and what direction they want to take, how much time they want to spend. the last one definitely wanted to review everything.
Well, the nature of the process is such that I think it's absolutely essential that you have regular participation from the members of the committee rather than spasmodic attendance.
With that said, I've thanked Doug a couple of different times over the years, but what we're gonna do is give Doug some incredible duties. And he performed stellar. I think that his involvement with the last charter review committee and his professionalism really led to some very solid decision-making by the charter review committee. I always make the joke that my dad told me never to be on a committee with more than 3 lawyers in a room, and we had them, and so there was a lot of discussion. But just so everybody knows that we're asking Doug for a heavy lift.
So now you know why your dad said that.
Yeah. Anyway, I would make the motion.
And before I second, I think it's important in the way you say that we essentially, the commission essentially delegated to Doug to be our representative in guiding the work of that committee, and the commissioners were somewhat hands-off.
Actually, by design, the commissioners are out of the loop until the commission asks for involvement. The committee asks for involvement.
I think that, yeah. Also, I second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Have we hit the points that we needed to hit on our
Right,
motion?
I think what we'll do is revisit the application from last time and update it with your input, and then send it out and probably keep it open for about 30 days to see when interest there is.
Yeah, 30 days, I think is plenty of time. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, I request the floor for a second.
Okay.
I think we set a incredibly tenuous precedent today by not hearing a legally made motion and a legal second. I think that sets a precedent going future, one that I'm not sure we really wanted to set, but it has been set. So that we were unable to have public notice for discussion of an item that we committed to a committee to make. And I think that's very disappointing, and hopefully, as people ponder applying for the next charter review committee, that we haven't tainted the water with the inability or the reluctance to follow through as a commission on commitments. I think that's another precedent that is more than tenuous, is a little bit embarrassing. But with that said, I have all full faith in a charter review committee. I think that it's really amazing how, if done right, it could last 2 weeks or it could last 14 months and still achieve what needs to be achieved. It's very important for this county. It's why it's part of the home rule charter. It's why it was voted on by the citizens. I just hope that as a commission, we are responsible enough to follow through on our commitments in the future to that committee. And that's all I have to say.
Where's Murdoch?
My comments in that regard are on my record, I think, already, in terms of I feel I have a moral obligation to citizen committees.
All right. That being said, I do want to point out that we did actually fulfill the obligation. We did visit with the Charter Review Committee a couple more times after it was voted on by the commissioners to not advance that to the ballot. So in my opinion, we did fulfill our obligations to the Charter Review Committee. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.